Drinking in the morning sun, blinking in the morning sun, shaking off a heavy one, heavy like a loaded gun. What made me behave that way? Using words I never say. I can only think it must be love. Oh, anyway, it's looking like a beautiful day. Episode 28.
28.
Ooh.
And we're recording this on the almost anniversary of the first episode's coming out.
Yeah.
Can you believe we've been doing this for a year?
We're getting there, aren't we, Steve?
We're figuring out what we're doing with it.
We are, slightly. Do you like my intro?
Every time I've struggled to place it, unless it's like a really obvious one. And that's just tickling the back of my memory, but it's not quite coming together.
Okay. I'm sure the listener might know. It's Elbow, Steve. It's Elbow. Your favourite band with a name that has a body part in it, remember?
Yes. If you are new to the podcast, my brother likes to throw these little challenges at me at the end of the episode. And in the previous episode, it was as many bands as you can name who are named after body parts. And I struggled with it. And then I remembered afterwards what I should have said was Fanny. Obviously, I should have.
Good one.
No, but you know, they're the band that David Bowie said were the future of music.
Yeah.
Fanny is the future of music. Good old Dave. He wasn't right about everything, was he?
No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, episode 28 of the This Are Johnny Domino podcast. Hooray.
Hooray.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I think my new mission statement is that we are embracing our collective inner old geezer.
Okay.
And saying to it, it's all right. I'm listening.
Come on in.
And I don't think you're boring. That's what we're saying to the inner old geezer. Yeah, cool. It's a safe space. It's a safe space.
My name is Steve, and that is my brother Giles. And the original concept for the podcast, and it still is the concept for the podcast, is that we are listening to songs that we've recorded up to 30 years ago, home recordings and various bands that we've played in, talking about them and the memories that are brought up by listening to them. Earlier this year, we set a challenge to our listeners based on a book that I was given by Jim, the lead singer of our band, Johnny Domino. The book was called Rock Talk, and it was written by Julian Colbeck. Basically, it's a how to be in a band book. And one of the pages in particular brought us great joy, a set of lyrics that were written by a band called Out to Lunch. We found them incredibly amusing, and a few episodes ago, we asked people to send in their versions of this song, a song that we had never heard, but we had only read the lyrics.
And only imagined. And just another thing about the book. It was the combination of the lyrics that were quite weird and the photographs. Well, they were good photographs, but they were a little cheesy. But there was also a sense of like, we could relate to them as well, because it was these two musicians, Dale and Jonty, in their bedroom writing songs, just like we were.
First line in the book is, Dale and Jonty are a duo, a group of two, called Out to Lunch.
Yeah, a group of two. And I guess that's what we've always been, in a sense.
That's what we started, yeah.
Yeah.
So it did appeal to us. I'm going to have to send you a photo, because there's a picture in the book of Dale and Jonty at the piano writing a song. We've got photos of Johnny Domino recreating that pose.
We have.
At the piano.
Yeah, that we might have to dig that one out.
Yeah.
But it kind of influenced us, and it was just one of those sort of, we were quite into our in-jokes, and it was one of our in-jokes, really.
Yes.
But since we started the podcast, we dug it up, and like Steve said, we challenged people to write some music for these lyrics.
Yeah.
And I think people did quite well.
Yes.
So far things have sounded pretty interesting, and we've created some music that has brought out stuff that we didn't really see before in the lyrics, which is a bit interesting. There was no plan to this, but it's kind of worked in an interesting way.
Yeah, because we thought they were quite clunky and just really, really rhythmically odd. So it was a challenge to see what you can do with this. And people have really got into it. They've given songs that actually sound like the lyrics were written for these songs.
Yeah.
And as you said, we do occasionally go down a rabbit hole of drawing out lyrical meaning that may have been intended or may not.
So the first song we're going to listen to today is sent by Simon Richardson. His version, or rather his band's version of All Them Trimmings. And I'll tell you about his band in a minute. But Simon is someone that was kind of important in my life, actually. He was my housemate and friend during my time in the olden days at Leeds University in the early 90s. We actually shared a room for a whole year, which is quite an achievement, I think, in our halls of residence. Luckily, he was pretty easy to get on with, and we both shared definitely a love of music and of jazz cigarettes. And
a bottle of Thunderbird.
Yeah, all right, yeah. He was quite partial to that. I've got a mental picture of him sat on the edge of his bed in our room, like on a morning, and the sun's coming through the window, and he's just woken up, and he's in a fog of Golden Virginia smoke with a frozen chip up his nose to ease the pain of a homemade piercing that he'd just done. And that's how I visualise Simon. But I'm sure he's not like that now. We've all moved on. We did eventually move out of the shared room and into what transpired to be an ex-brothel, which was not so nice.
There's a story there.
Yeah, there's a story there. And then we did have a bit of a band, which at some point I'll play you some of. The band was called Sunnyland Smiles, one word, lowercase s.
Okay.
That was our band for a while. And it's been lovely to hear from him anyway. And he's continued to be a very creative and practical person. And he's in the vicinity of Glasgow. And he's got together a band called the Tidmouth Sheds, which are active and gigging and recording stuff. And this is his version of All Them Trimmings.
Just let it all
That was the Tidmouth Sheds version of All Them Trimmings. That was Innes Thompson on bass and drum and production, Richard Owen on lead guitar, Simon Richardson on vocal and rhythm guitar, Katie Shadden on vocal, and Caroline Campbell on cello.
I mean, he did send a solo version of that song.
He did.
Which I really like, because I really like Simon's guitar playing, especially when he's playing acoustic guitar. But I do love the fact that he wrote this song as a solo thing, and then he taught it to other people. I mean, that's a level of commitment.
Yeah, they worked it out. They did it. They went for it proper, didn't they?
Yeah.
There's a level of audacity to that version, which I appreciate.
Adding a new bit.
It's an audacious move, really. The whole kind of answers on a postcard bit,
yeah,
which was a previous song, I think, that he decided to sort of smash in there.
Fair enough.
I quite like it. It was recorded remotely, and interesting point, Katie recorded her vocals on her phone in her kitchen, and they have a novelty clock that strikes using pre-recorded bird songs. So that was the Blackbird solo in the middle.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. That's excellent.
Yeah, so it just kind of went off by accident during her take, and they decided it was like, it's fate that it was
serendipity.
Yeah, fortuitous. Yeah, I did like it. It had a kind of an upbeat kind of swing.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking about the postcard thing, I was thinking about, it's been a long time since I've sent a postcard.
Really?
Have you not? Sending postcards, answers on a postcard, that's a good phrase, isn't it? We've not heard that phrase for a while. Answers on a postcard, please.
Yeah.
He's really digging that one up there. We should get people to send us postcards.
Oh, I would love that. What I was thinking was, there is a page on Facebook called Like Punk Never Happened. It's Brian McCloskey's Smash Hits Archive. And basically, he will upload scans of old issues of Smash Hits. Occasionally it pops up in my feed on Facebook, and I really like looking at them. But there was one the other day, it was a Michael Jackson club, and you had to send a check or a postal order and a stamped addressed envelope. And it was someone's actual postal address or something. I just love reading all that kind of stuff, and these amazing huge boom boxes with an FM radio attached. They're about 500 quid or something, and tiny little Walkman headphones and things like that. I just really get into it. And then every now and again you'll have like the song lyrics for something. He does the whole issue as well, so you've got all the adverts as well. It's really good.
I don't think I don't know whether this is a stretch as well, but that the Postcard Records,
yes,
because that was a Glasgow-based label, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm feeling a little bit of that in Simon's music. Are you?
Yeah, it's a bit orange juice.
Yeah. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but have you got like a favourite Postcard Records kind of track? It's not really your bag, is it?
It's not really my bag. But I do remember I sent some postcards back from a Greek holiday that I had, and it was a picture of, it's like a skull of a stag. No, it wasn't. It was a skull of a ram, and it said, "These are for you. These are for your wife." And I sent that to Jim, just a really weird postcard.
You're just thinking about your favourite postcard, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm just thinking I'd rather think about my favourite postcard than a favourite postcard record, because I've got more interest in that.
Yeah.
And I used to have on a pinboard for years and years and years.
Go on, let's have a postcard.
I had a postcard that Dick sent me, and it was a picture of Barton Fink. And it was Barton Fink with his glasses on and his big hair. And at the time I had big hair and my little glasses on. And he sent it to me, and I had that on my pinboard for years.
Let's start a new podcast about favourite postcards.
To be frank, I'm more interested in that than Postcard Records, but that's,
Are you?
Each to their own.
I quite like a bit of orange juice occasionally.
Yeah, well, I don't mind them. I just can't get excited about them.
It's the sound of young Scotland.
I know.
It was.
It's now the sound of old Scotland.
It is, yeah. Anyway, thank you to Simon and Tidmouth Sheds. Tidmouth Sheds, I like the Thomas the Tank Engine reference there. So thank you, yeah, very good. And we have another Trimmings coming up.
From long-time listener, long-time participant in the nonsense that we send out. This is our friend Tom Morton, ex-lead singer of the band Lard Pony. We did many, many gigs with them. Previously, he sent in, that song that he sent in for the Eternal Halls of the Four-Track Gods. That was amazing. He sent in 2 amazing songs. Black Sand, oh my God. In fact, I'm going to insert a little bit of that as a reminder to everyone and myself.
Hey, you can tell me what to do. No, not you. You can tell me what to do. Hey, you're not my brother. You're not my mother. You're just another. Leave me alone. Go home! You're not my mother. You're just another. Leave me alone. Go home!
Oh, we love the Black Sand.
Yeah, Tom sent us a version of the song that we are calling All Them Trimmings, and it's a doozy.
It is. Tom, or his name on Spotify is now Vom Vorten.
Mm-hmm.
I like his description on Spotify. It says, #1 cool guy, powerful skull, 10 out of 10. And I think that about sums him up. This is a good track, and I think it's a really interesting version of this song. I really like it. It starts off kind of sleazy, which I like.
Yeah.
I think it's got a bit of a cabaret kind of feel to begin with. What do you think, Steve?
I absolutely agree, because I listened to it just before we started recording. I thought, hello.
He's channeling a bit of Jarvis, I think.
Yeah.
A little bit, right? But then I think the chorus kind of opens up and there's a synth sound in it that makes me think of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, possibly.
Yeah. Would I be right in saying #heroic guitar solo?
Oh, yeah. Postcard Records, though, a bit Edwin Collins sound as well.
Do
you think?
A through line. This is a through line then.
Edwin Collins sound. Which has got a note in it, and I'm sure Tom won't mind me saying it. There's a note in it that it's one of those notes in a guitar solo. Is it right or is it wrong? Listen out for that note.
Cool.
Let's go anyway. This is Von Vorten, All Them Trimmings.
Just is not there. Does it always have to take this long? You said don't push it too far. Just let it fade away. But I felt I had to do something before we threw it away. Just a dash of creativity, and that's all it needed. Creativity with all of them trimmings that come with love. So take heed before you jump that gun and settle your conscience. Can't you see what I see? Girl, are you blind to the ways of the loving man? Just a dash of creativity, and that's all it needed. Creativity with all of them trimmings that come with love.
I did enjoy that.
It's epic. It's epic. I've just found his email that he sent. He said, "Please find attached one song that I definitely spent too much time on." I disagree.
I think he spent just the right amount of time on that, Tom.
He said, channeling those lyrics made me attempt weird things like the chorus and verse being in different keys and, in kind of scare quotes, a guitar solo. I think the guitar solo was heroic. I think I heard the note that you were talking about. I think what he was doing was, because the verse and the chorus are in completely different keys, he was trying to modulate from the verse into the chorus.
Yeah. As you know, I'm more of a friend of musicians than an actual musician. So none of that meant anything to me.
Well, it's a key change. You have to. You can either do the trucker's gear change, where basically you just go, right, we're in this key, and then we're going to move to this one really abruptly, or you can try and transition into it, which is what he was doing.
Yeah, I thought it was great, and I think everyone should go out and listen to some Von Vorten. There's a few albums out there. There's some stuff there, so check him out.
You dig it,
right? And, we were talking in the last Trimmings episode about a possible future where the song becomes a basis for a post-apocalyptic society, which is geared towards creativity and inspired by the lyrics of the song, right? In my imagination, that song would be the version that would be played at the end of some kind of like world concert, which is beamed around the globe, and with everyone in the world sort of singing along to it with their arms around each other,
Yeah, what I'm picturing is the end of the first Star Wars film, where there's like the huge kind of medal giving, it's utterly bizarre medal giving ceremony. But I could imagine someone like some trumpet players playing do 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 do.
That's it. It's a triumphant ending, isn't it?
Yeah. That is possibly for your dystopian future creativity, post AI taking over everything.
Yeah,
society. I think that is the national anthem.
Yeah, I think it is.
Von Vorten providing the national anthem for your science fiction.
We salute you, Von.
Absolutely.
You. Thank you. That was beautiful. Right. Where do we go now? Is that the end?
It's not. It's not.
We haven't got any more versions, have we?
Well, no, but if anybody wants to send them in, the lyrics are still out there. I'm still more than happy to receive more entrants into this. And I know you are, Giles.
I am.
But when we started doing this,
I'm very excited about this, by the way.
Okay.
I'm trembling in anticipation.
Okay, well.
Just want to let people know that.
Okay, slow your roll. Obviously, when we started, we looked at this book and we've enjoyed it for many years. And I didn't take it any further, and I don't think any of us did. We didn't kind of go, oh, let's have a search for Out to Lunch. But our mate, Frankie Machine, is the kind of guy who's going to go deep into this sort of thing. So in March of 2024, he started Googling around, and he managed to find a guy called Dave, who was the person who recorded Out to Lunch. And he found on his website some examples of recordings that he'd done, one of which was an Out to Lunch song. Not All Them Trimmings, but an Out to Lunch song. And going down that rabbit hole, he found a webpage for one Dale Davis. Dale of And Jonty fame and of Out to Lunch fame.
Yeah, Dale, he's in the pictures.
He is in the pictures, yep, there's your man.
You got in touch with Dale?
Yeah, and Dale is...
we found Dale.
Well, Frankie found Dale, and then I felt the fear and did it anyway a few weeks ago and said, I'm one of the people behind the random podcast where people are talking about one of your old songs. And then I sent him a link to the first episode that featured people's versions of All Them Trimmings. Yeah, stayed in touch with him. And...
luckily, it turns out he's a nice guy.
Luckily, it turns out he's not a kind of guy to go cease and desist.
There hasn't been a cease and desist notice at all yet.
No, not yet.
So it's all going quite well.
It's amazing.
Anyway, you talked to him, didn't you?
I spoke to him last week.
Yeah. Should we have a listen to it?
Let's have a listen to it. My chat with Dale Davis. So you are in Holland, and I've just heard Out to Lunch's version of, what is the song called?
It was called Creativities.
Yeah, because we went with All Them Trimmings.
Yeah, but that's great in itself.
That was the line that when we were reading this book in our little indie smart-ass wanker conglomerate, that was the line that used to make us laugh. But then if you think about it, you can't go all those trimmings because that sounds really awkward.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite an awkward sound, this song anyway, that even the entry is Searching for Time. But we were young and stupid.
Hey, we've all done that. I think I mentioned in one of the emails that I sent you that I'd always assumed that Out to Lunch was like a band that was invented for the book.
No, we were a band beforehand, and the lead singer, John T, I mean, he looks like Max Headroom from the photos that you saw there, and he just had this ability to attract people. We were all based in a place called just out of Reading called Henley-on-Thames. Henley had a small music scene, and I ended up in a band with John T, and he was a real ladies' man. At one point, we called the band Thrust That Bust and then changed it to Out to Lunch. Yeah, we got a few songs together and just played around Reading. But then John T's used to know Alvin Lee's wife, Sue Lee, Alvin Lee from 10 Years After, and he ended up managing us and did the original demo of Creativity. But then we got involved with an engineer who, funny enough, I was in Indonesia with last week and I hadn't seen him since that whole period. So it was just so weird to meet him after all those years in that environment. So we moved to London together from the area, and I used to spend a lot of time in the studio with him because he was working at Chrysalis Records, and then we'd get a lot of downtime at night time. I quit college as a result, and then we ended up in a studio in Brixton called Barrington Studios, and this is where this version evolved from. So that was done in 1986.
You can tell that John T's got the 80s look.
Yeah,
he's got the, like you said, he's got the hair. I mean, not that you didn't have the look and you didn't have the hair, but he's a bit like a Matt Bianco Curiosity type thing.
Yeah, a lot of bands like that, Hip Sway, the Martin Stevens and the Dainties, that sort of look.
Yeah.
But then I decided to move to London and he didn't move, so I just moved and I chased the career of music and here I am years later talking about this song from then.
I do apologise, but I mean, it's weird you mentioned the band name because looking in the book, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you because I can't imagine that anyone would call their band Thrust That Bust.
No, but we changed it very quickly, but it was like a weekend.
So with regards to Out to Lunch, how far did you get? Did you just do gigs and then record some stuff?
Yeah, because I wanted to move to London to be a musician, so... And it's funny that at one point you mentioned John T sounds like a rugby name. I remember in one of the podcasts you talked about that. But he was a fantastic rugby player. That made me laugh when you said that.
It's just one of those names, isn't it? Oh, John T.
Yeah,
it's like a rugger bugger type thing.
Yeah, he was brilliant at rugby, so fair play to him on that. The band lasted about probably no more than a couple of years.
Yeah.
There was a lot of hype because of his looks and stuff and his personality. We had the chance to record those two things in two studios, and studio time was expensive. And even the 4-track was expensive. So we managed to get studio time and do it that way. But as I say, it sounds like a 4-track demo once we'd finished with it. So, but then I moved to London and no one else came with me. So because I just wanted to be a musician and get on with my career.
So you were pretty driven?
Yes. I mean, I wasn't the most talented and, a lot of these people, they had a lot more than me, but I was young and stupid and just wanted to be a musician.
How do you get from Out to Lunch to being Amy Winehouse's musical director? What were the steps in between?
Just after that recording there, I did a lot of wine bar gigs with a saxophone player on the track there, Richard Anstey, and I was working part-time. So I went from 5 days of doing temp work and then I managed to get down to 2 days. And then eventually I managed to quit because I got offered a tour in Italy in 1991. and I saw everything that could go wrong in the music business in one hit. And, there were pretty low times, but I came back to England and I thought, well, nothing's going to ever be that bad again. And then 6 months later, I got a break with Norman Cook doing work with Beats International. So I did that for 6 months. And then he formed a band, Freak Power, with Ashley Slater, who had a band called Mike Groove that I used to play in, and that was Norman's backing band. So I ended up working in Freak Power for a year solidly. But then I went on to do this thing in Europe called The Night of the Proms, and I worked with a lot of established artists like Paul Young, Randy Crawford, Blondie, Simple Minds. It was just, every year it was like a pop classical thing that you get now. So, and I was in the house band for a while. Then I decided to come back to Europe and try and work with younger artists because I thought if I stay in Europe too long, people are going to forget me. So I came back around 1999, 2000, and I started to work with younger artists. And then in 2003, I came across Amy and, I went for the audition, didn't get it initially. They called me after the first bass player couldn't do it, and then that was it. And that took me through 8 years. Obviously, it's well documented what happened. And then ever since then, I've been doing odd things, but a lot of things are still being in connection with Amy, So people still want to hear her music, and it's an honour to honour her legacy, performing the stuff still.
You basically had the career in music that most people would dream of. So it feels good to talk to you because this book, it's brought us some joy over the years. But the fact that you've been working, I think it's beautiful. You know what I mean? And you're still working.
It's a weird thing, though, because, when I was a kid, as an 8-year-old, I always just wanted to be in a band and be famous and successful. Writing my own stuff and stuff like that. But I realised over the years that I didn't have that sort of ability. And also when I moved to London, the whole music scene was changing to DJs and just, the guitar and the drum and percussion and stuff like that. That was all starting to get dropped for samples and stuff like that. And then I came out through that scene, the whole rave scene. And the point I'm trying to make is that I always wanted to be in that sort of situation. So in one way, I never got to do the thing that I wanted to do originally, but I've ended up going way beyond my expectations in other areas.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was the thing. And it was just down to sheer determination. I really don't consider myself the best. Just somehow still doing it, eking out a career.
Good man. I've got to ask, how weird is it that we have become obsessed with this old song?
Well, as I say, it's quite surreal. I've had a surreal moment this year when I had an actor play me in a film, so nothing surprises me. What has surprised me is the train of events, so last year Simon Head, the original keyboard player in Out to Lunch, he started to digitise everything we did. So he digitised rehearsals, gigs, recordings we had at the time. And then when I saw your first email, I thought, oh wow, we've got the material. So something's been moving along, and then suddenly all this happens. And then, as I say, I was out in Indonesia with the guy who recorded everything. The girl who took the photos, she got in touch with me last week to say, Dave, I'm going to come and see you in France when you're playing. So I just think all these weird things are happening as a result. And I've got in touch with most of the people in connection with this song. The only person I haven't been able to reach is Jonty, and I haven't been able to speak to him for a long time. Just because our lives have drifted apart. And so it doesn't surprise me, but it's still an amazing thing. And, the first episode, I had to get my head around so much. I thought, what the hell is going on? And I couldn't listen to the song. I'd forgotten all about it. But, by towards the end of the first episode, I thought, wow, I've got to go and find the original version that we did. Yeah. And it's an honour, it is a proper piss take, and I like a joke like anyone else, so I can take the piss take. But it's still so fascinating to see. And some of the versions have been absolutely fantastic. In fact, they've all been great, so.
Oh, wicked. I love the fact you've heard them. Any in particular that you like?
There was quite a skiffle version. Was there on the last podcast? Was it skiffle?
Oh, there was that's MJ Hibbert. He did. It is a bit skiffle. Yeah. Acoustic guitar, yeah.
Yeah, so that was great as well. Even the one that sounded like In Excess, they've all been, and the one that sounded like Lloyd Cole, they've all been great and they sound more complete than the version that we've done because you've had a chance to think about it and put it in a different way. So yeah, it's an amazing thing, and it's just made me happy.
How amazing was that?
It was really nice to talk to him. He's a charming bugger, but he also took it in the spirit that we intended it. So thank you so much, Dale. Thank you for your time.
Great. And he's an actual musician.
Actual musician. Yeah, I mean, we didn't mention it beforehand, but, he's been a session musician for years, and he's known now as Mr. Davis, Amy Winehouse's trusted musical director.
Yeah, and friend.
Yeah. A character based on him has appeared in a film, which must be a trip.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's kind of an amazing thing that our weird idea of doing some songs based on the lyrics in this bizarre book that's out of print anyway, led to that conversation. It's cool. By the way, good job on interviewing him. That was a good one. You did well.
Well, he was very easy to talk to. He was in Holland, you know what I mean? We were trying to set it up, and I said, well, why do we do it this evening? He said, well, I'm an hour ahead of you, so that would be fine. Yeah. He's just on holiday.
I really want to push to go and meet him, actually, face to face. I think we should definitely go and meet him and get him to sign the book. That would be cool, wouldn't it?
Wicked.
Yeah. So I feel we've kind of reached the point where we kind of need to listen to what this song actually sounds like. Yeah, the original, the Rosetta Stone, as it were.
It is. It's the key text.
The key text, right? This is what it was actually originally by Out to Lunch, and it was a song not called
All Them Trimmings.
All Them Trimmings. No, it was called Creativity, and I have listened to it, and for me, it's not let me down really, because I think it sounds exactly like the photographs.
Yeah. Shall we go in?
Let's go. Thank you, Dale and Jonty. Let's go.
Just is not there. Does it always have to take this long? You said don't push it too hard, just let it fade away. But I felt I had to do something before we threw it all away. Of creativity, that's all it needed. Creativity, with all of them trimmings that come with love, that come with love. To the ways of a loving man, you need just a dash of creativity. That's all it needed. Creativity, with all of them trimmings that come with love, that come with love.
don't want to talk over it.
Well, you just did.
It's beautiful. The rocking sound of Henley, 1987.
Yeah. Dale did want me to mention Simon Cotsworth. He was the guy who recorded Out to Lunch, and he was the person who we met in Indonesia recently. So he just wanted me to mention his name because he did a lot for the song, and also I think he's going to try and clean up the recording. I'm not that bothered if he cleans up the recording. I like the tape hiss because it's like
makes it fit in with our stuff.
Exactly, it's a through line. It doesn't feel too out of the ordinary, as he said in the conversation. They managed to make a professional recording studio sound like a 4-track, which that's something.
Wow, what can we say? John T was a ladies' man.
Yeah.
And very good looking, with a Max Headroom haircut.
Yeah. What can you say?
I don't know. What does it remind me of? I'm getting kind of a bit of Tears for Fears.
Yeah, a bit of Tears for Fears.
Definitely.
But there's definitely that wine bar, Curiosity Killed the Cat, Matt Bianco vibe going on.
Yeah. Which is kind of what we imagined, wasn't it, really?
You look at the photos, it's not going to be anything else. They were doing gigs in wine bars, and I'm sure they went down an absolute storm, especially with John T and his haircut. Yeah.
What's interesting, though, Steve, I think, and I really, really loved listening to that, and I really appreciate Dale sending it to us and everything. But what I think is the most interesting thing, really, is the through line, like you say, and how it all kind of fits together. It's that has kind of led to us writing music. And I don't know, I'm getting a sense of gestalt. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like the organised whole is more than just the sum of its parts. You know what I mean? We've put a thing together with all these different bits. And it's the relationships between all the different bits that I think is really interesting. So I'm kind of hoping that we're going to be able to put all of these versions of All Them Trimmings, or creativity, we're going to call it All Them Trimmings, together into an album of some sort, right?
It will probably be on Bandcamp. It'll probably be a free download, just because I think people have put so much effort into it. I think the versions deserve to be heard.
Definitely. And I think it'll be an interesting listen.
And we can, put the backstory up in the notes and put some photos up there. And I think the last track on the compilation has got to be Out to Lunch's version.
Yeah, definitely.
Wowzers.
I feel like we're at the end of a journey.
Yeah.
It's been kind of cool. Well done, Steve.
What? Why?
I was just going to do a bit of mutual patting on the back, but you didn't want to join in. It's all right. It's okay. It's fine. So, where do we go from here?
I don't know. Do we go anywhere from here? How do you follow that?
I don't know. I think we probably need to sit down and think about it in a quiet room for a while. So we may be at the end of the podcast, I think, but it's been lovely. Yeah, I mean this episode, Steve. I don't mean the podcast generally.
Sorry, I was just went, huh?
Bombshell.
And probably like 3 other people going, huh?
No, I don't mean that. I mean the end of this podcast. Yes, I think we need to go and have a lie down now. It's been, at the end of this podcast and regroup, really. But it has been great. And I just wanted to say thanks to Simon and Von Vorten for sending in their versions, which were great. It's been really nice to listen to them today.
Can we have a bit of a roll call of the people who've previously sent things in? So that is, I Am Wilbraham, Erstwhile Friend, Mark Elston, Motorcade 1, MJ Hibbert, Frankie Machine, the Tidmouth Sheds, Von Vorten, and of course, Dale.
Yes. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you so much for putting the effort in, and I hope you enjoyed working on those songs as much as we enjoyed listening to them and talking about them.
Definitely. And we have got more episodes coming up in the near future, and we are definitely going to go with another engagement opportunity, and we want you to create some music which is a version of a song from or related to your youth or childhood, or your experience of youth or childhood, as we discussed last episode. So something inspired by, well, the whole idea was inspired by my transformative experience watching Punk Rock Factory at Bearded Theory Festival last month. But we'd like you to record a piece of music, and we're going to have some themed episodes coming up to do with that, hopefully. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
I've already had one submission.
Oh, fabulous. Well, don't tell me about that. That's too exciting for today. I've already had too much excitement. So yeah, hopefully people are going to get into that, and me and you are going to have to think of something that we want to do as well.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you are enjoying it, please
hold on a second, though, Steve. Just hold on a second, because I've just thought of something. Sorry. What song best describes this podcast and its listeners? For me, this week, I know I'm a bit repetitive, but I'm going for a song from I, Jonathan by Jonathan Richman, 1992 album, one of my favourite albums. And I was listening to it again because family have been talking about my dislike of Mr. Brightside, which I did mention. Yeah. But in bringing that up, we're forgetting, because I said that was like in my version of hell. But in that, let's recalibrate that, because actually what I was talking about really was my love of the I, Jonathan album, and how that is my version of heaven. And there is a song on it which I think sums up something about how I feel about this podcast and its listeners. And it is the song Rooming House on Venice Beach. It's a stretch, but listen to what I'm saying, okay?
Go.
I've never been to Venice Beach. It's a well-known bohemian area of Los Angeles, and it sounds in the song like an amazing place. Jonathan is singing nostalgically about the Venice Beach of his youth, and it's cheap, 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 and he's got a radiator and a sagging bed, and he doesn't lock his door because who would nick his cheap guitar and his paper bags? He's living the bohemian lifestyle, right? Mm-hmm. And the ancient world is within reach. But we, in a way, are harking back to a time.
Yes. Yeah?
But Jonathan also sings about the ancient weird guys in his toga, and the bearded weird guy singing flat, and the weirdo weird guys passing the hat. And that's us, man. Right?
Okay.
Like I say, we've got to embrace the inner old guy, and the ancient world is in our reach. And it is wild, wild, wild. And you're never going to call it mild. Listen to it.
I listen to it frequently. It is one of my favourites as well. But I think it's a bit of a stretch. I think you may be overreaching, but
I'm not.
No,
okay. We're the ancient weird guys.
You're the weird beard guy. Am I just the weird guy?
You're the weird guy.
Weird guy. You're the weird beard guy.
I'm the bearded weird guy singing flat. You're the weirdo weird guy passing the hat.
Okay. Fabulous. I think the emotion of hearing Out to Lunch has blown your mind. So let's sign off now. If you are enjoying the podcast, please share it with a friend or someone who you were in a band with or someone who you used to listen obsessively to music with. That'd be great. And like and subscribe wherever you are listening, and we will see you in another couple of weeks.